Hey, good evening, good evening, good evening. Wait. We got some technical adjustments we need to make. Give me a second. I know it's been a while, it's been a minute, it's been a second. And if I tell you, we had three community engagements. We had this past month and a half, we've had three youth program engagements. And so those six, and then me resetting my life to get back to the liberation of our people and the openness of consciousness and uh, just being the greater Agyei, the African. I can tell you that I've been through a process of ascension on a whole new level right now and with a whole new level of attacks. However, we are here to continue our process, our training, our learning, our understanding on what it means to engage into this experience that we have for the year, the coming of the Ubuntu generation. And we talk about it every Sunday with the kids. And I told the kids we're about to start live streaming again with the children because I was hoping that they would be able to sit up and take the front lead for the conversations, kids having conversation with kids about the development of being greater kids. You can't beat that. And they're still in development. They're close. I can tell you they are real close, but we're going to get to that point. Also, you know, just trying to, we got so many more things coming, and I want y'all to be ready for the things that we have coming. All right, there's a lot of things that we've been working on the side. There are projects for this fall that I want to make sure that y'all stay around and y'all connect to. We are, you know, we've hinted the Pan African Kids Council, and we had soft launches with the Pan African Kids Council, and we got a little response, you know, pretty good. The low end of 10,000 views, and so now we're gonna make sure that we blow that up this school season. Yep, we making sure, and then we got something else coming, and so we mentioned it in the group community where it's the closed community. And so if you're not a part of the closed community and you want to be a part of the closed community, holla. And if you want to be, you know, a part of that open public community, don't forget to go to the World of Akibaland. We got a jump in numbers in terms of views. So now we got to engage even more to get that number of individuals who follow. So we're getting more views every day because we post every day, and people are saying, okay, I want to see what they're talking about. And so it's developing, it's coming, and it's growing, and I cannot wait to school season starts. But we're going to start pushing a little bit more by tomorrow morning. But yeah, we got a lot coming. And so we want to get back into this. It's been a while, it's been a minute, but this process never stops. Understanding and coming and growing. And so we went through the first quarter and we talked about the awakening of the African mind. We had to talk about what it meant to be, you know, just to know who you are and who you aren't. We had to take a look at it. We had to see, and we went in. I'm trying to get to my chats just in case some. Okay, there we go. Peace and blessings, everybody. Let me see if I can. There we go. And so we're gonna build the algorithm. We're gonna come back around. We're gonna make sure that we promote this the right way. Uh, One, I did not, with me personally, and my own awakening, I did not want to jump deeper into pushing the African Speaks until I got a strong voice for the kids to utilize so that it goes together. And that's exactly what's happening. It's going to be going together. And so we've been through this process of taking a look at the conditioned self, at the broken self, and finding, getting that awareness and clarity. And then we said, restarting the narrative. We have to understand that we did not begin in the process of slavery. And so we went past that, and that was the beginning. That was the beginning, and then we jumped into that healing part. And you know, we might have interrupted into it by the end, right? But we talked about healing and reclamation, reclaiming the things that you can control for you. The emotional maturity, the pattern recognition, and then slow restoration. This whole process from the first to the second is not something that can be rushed. It's not, because people always want to get to the healing, to the healing, to the healing. And we're going to talk about that. But it is definitely a slow step that we have to reach. Now, this particular week, or this particular quarter, is this discussion of power. It's the discussion of purpose, and it's this discussion of creation. Power, purpose, and creation. That's the quarter three. That's where we are. That's right. You are not here by accident, right? I had a child tell me their mother sat down and looked them in the eye and said, he was a mistake. You not here as a mistake. God said, I knew you before I formed you in the womb. You couldn't stop me from coming if you wanted. Well, you can stop me through science, but I was coming, and I chose you to come through. It initiates this whole thing where you start working from a place of power, a place of foundation, a place of focus. That's a different being. That's a different being. And I know for me, when you are in that space, you need to continue to be fed the position of power, But you got to understand that reality of seeing yourself broken, seeing and being aware, that awareness that you get that, you know what, I am still a conditioned being. I still got colonial structures working. I still got things inside me that works against what the Creator wants me to produce and do. But then you get to that point where you are a co-creator, and we're going to break this down. Where you are a co-creator, you are walking in power, you have your purpose inside you. This is what the whole third quarter is about. The whole third quarter is about. A lot of us seek healing, and we jump to that information part. We put the clothes on. We do the rituals, but you've never done the digging where you sat down and said, you know what, this is where I'm broken at. This is where I'm broken so that I can stay on that path and nobody sways me. And sometimes that's difficult for me because, I can get swayed. But I sit down and say, you always got to see it. And every time you level up. And so we're going to talk about what it looks like to level up. Because we know in this space that everybody is in the process of creating something. Every person that is listening, every person that you see, whether they're doing positive or negative, everybody is creating. They create with their thoughts. They create in the decisions they make. They create in their habits. Every relationship is created. Every word creates. So how you communicate, how you talk, how you dialogue, all that is a part. Nobody is I can say, nobody can skip that part. So now the question is, if every person is creating, what are you creating? What? You're creating your future. You're creating your relationships. You're creating your habits. You create your children. You're like, what? Yes, you create your children. How you raise them, how you speak to them, how you guide them, the structures you put to them. You create those children. You create your community. What's around you? What is your environment? What you pour into it? Does it pour into you? You create your culture. There's a how-to for everything and anything. There's a how-to. You create your legacy. Now, that's a real experience, creating your legacy. And until now, you've probably done it unconsciously. Until now, it's like, okay, I'm here, but am I here? And so you can create either consciously or unconsciously. Why? Because the brain, when you're doing it unconsciously, the brain never turns off. The brain is the one computer that never needs to be shut down. It never stops. Your thoughts are always, even in your sleep, whatever and I would say be careful what you look at last, because whatever you intake and ingest, and we've done that before. Whatever you do in that state is where you create from. And that's something that has to be checked to look at. A co-creator, when somebody co-creates, when you begin your co-creation process, it's an awakened mind that has stopped creating by accident. I'm gonna pause right there. An awakened mind, because you can be an awakened mind, but still create by accident. I've seen so many of those who had the information, but you're not creating on purpose with a purpose. A co-creator is awakened mind that has stopped creating by accident and have started creating by design. That means you have found alignment. It is the conscious alignment of your daily choices with the original assignment that was given to you when you came into the experience of humanity. What? Everybody has their own assignment. Not doing what someone else told you to do, but doing what you felt that you were called to do and produce. It is not just and this is not a new topic. I'm not telling anything new, but this is a structural process where we teach how to become a conscious creator. And that was one of the things that was hitting me. I said, wait a minute, you know what I mean? In the process of my alignment, I had to go through those prerequisite steps. I had to go through the prerequisite steps. Chapter 1 in my life. And sometimes it takes years to get to that point where I'm remembering who I am. And as you remember, you get to one step, and then it's something you're ascending, and then all of a sudden you flatline, meaning that, okay, I've reached a height of consciousness. There's got to be another level. And you go up to the next one. Then you go up to the next one. You go up to the next one. You start looking at chapter 2, the patterns. Those things that create dysfunction. Things that are in your DNA, in your memory banks, in your cells, that create dysfunction. And you got to continue, because the ascension is levels. And if y'all watched the power of the divine self, there are 10 levels of consciousness to exist in. And as you function in those 10 levels, the higher you get, the less you are attached to the worldly issues. And I have a problem with that, because I don't become detached. I just put more emphasis on what needs to be done spiritually. And then I lose a lot of friends that way. But okay, you're in your feelings. I understand you're in your feelings, and I'm in my assignment, and I apologize if you feel like I'm detached, but I'm not. I feel everything. I hurt, I cry, I bleed, I go through all of it. But some of us have timelines on their assignments. I know for me, yeah, I was told I was on time, and they said, brother, keep pushing, because you hit the mark right on time. And most people don't understand when people around you who are younger than you, they may have more time to access their divine assignment when they see their visions. They may have some time. I'm in it. When you hit a certain age, it's just go. It's because when you're younger, you go, but you go at the wrong things. And then when you break free and you realize that, wait a minute, now I'm hearing with my crown, I'm getting the downloads. I'm seeing with my third eye, right? And so they're giving you your information. Your heart is your biggest part of who you are. You love deeply this journey that the Creator has put us on. And then you get to that where we at, chapter 3. Understanding why you needed 1 and 2. Because you can't get those downloads without it. You might get a vision that helps you fit more into the world. That's not what this is. And so you can tell by, in this space, we talk about people jumping into that the circle without being deconditioned. And they want to quickly, I need to heal, I'm going to heal. And you see a lot of individuals going through the processes, thinking that because they're going through that healing process, that's where it is. The healing is not the final destination. That's one of the things that we get tripped on. The healing is not the final destination. It is the preparation for you to receive the downloads. And so that everything you do now is moved by vision, purpose, power, legacy, impact. It's vision, that conscious creating. And I remember the moment that I looked at somebody and said, I'm going to love on purpose. I'm going to love on purpose. And then I fell in love with life itself all over again. And then I was given the download. Then I was given the vision. I was given what am I supposed to do to participate in what the Most High needs to recalibrate humanity. There's a phrase that I got the other day that came to me, and you might hear it if in a sermon one day when I'm asked to go do a sermon, or I might do it in a talk show. Who are we without our ministry and the responsibility to liberate black people and then recalibrate humanity? Who are we without that inside ministry, that internal ministry, that the assignment that we were given by God? Who are we without it? Who are we without the responsibility of the liberation of black people across the world? Who are we? Who are we without the purpose, without the call? Who are we? And so it's necessary to get to that healing part, but to break through. But then you got to always go back, keep healing and breaking through, always go back, because the vision and how to accomplish it will become more and more clear. This particular past week, for me, I gave the kids their voice. I gave the kids their image. I loosened them from the control of the adults and said, let your mind be free to create what the Creator has called you to produce. That was elevation for me, because for me it was I'm still building the platforms. What? To give voice to the generations that are coming behind me. But then you have people who are building platforms still for themselves. Adults who are waiting for themselves. And I'm like, wait. My generation is not the generation that you're supposed to be building for self. My generation is the generation who have access to this information. And now let us give that the depth of who we are to the younger generation, so that when I transition, I'm immortal inside the youth that are building a kingdom that is represented by the direction of the Most High. And I keep saying Most High, and I want to get this because this is deeply important. As you leave from being a unconscious consumer to a conscious co-creator. Who else are you creating with? I'm a co-creator. Who am I co-creating with? You're co-creating with the source. And I want to get this straight because there's a lot of people battling with this. The source has no gender. The source has principles and attributes and characteristics that are manifested through us. But the source has no gender. So that's why you get people talking about the divine feminine. Okay. Then brothers, in a lot of scenarios, it's always been talking about God being masculine. But then you govern the world with toxic masculinity, but you are a divine masculine. These expressions are two different polarities, but when they come together, they're a whole. If they're coming together and the individuals are evenly yoked to the point where their healing process is the same. Because now you can enter into an agreement or a covenant with each other where you see, as a male, I say, I see the mission, you see the mission. Let's come and use the power of who we are to manifest what the Creator has asked us to create. Gender, the source has no gender. And I remember having an argument with a sister, and she was clear. The source that I follow is a man. No. Cosmic energy and creative intelligence, the source has no gender. However, we can see the attributes of the divine feminine of the source in the black woman. We can see the attributes of the divine masculine of a black man in the male, in the black man. And so that is important, because as you get your downloads, you are going to get an assignment according to your makeup. Now, that doesn't mean the world hasn't warped our understanding of what masculine energy and feminine energy is. Yeah, they have. And there was one time before I started the DaAfrican Speaks, and I tried to get her online to have this discussion with me. And it was a sister from the Ashanti tribe in Africa. And she said straight up, she said, Agyei, my spirit is doing something that my soul was not built to do. My body is not built to do. A single mother raising a family on her own. I am not built to be the man. And I do have female friends that on Father's Day, I sat down and said Happy Father-Mother Day, because they had to play both roles. And it's not easy raising males to be men. And fathers, I'm blessed to be lucky, because the daughter that I raised is 100% feminine principle. And I can't take credit for that. I take credit for the part that I played, the power that I wielded. Why? In the masculine principle is structure, direction, protection. Some brothers, all they got is protection. Sister said, well, I need to be led. Some brothers know how to lead and some brothers don't. And that means that's when you got to go back through quarter one and quarter two. You got to go back to understanding who you are, or what the world made you to understand it. Now also understand what the Creator made you. You got to go back to get to those lessons and come all the way up to the present. Every vision needs structure. Every one. And if you have a vision to liberate black people, yet you don't have structure, you're not functioning in alignment. You're functioning in force. And we're going to get to that. Or did we pass that? Let me see. There we go. You're going to function from a state of force. Force. Force is that thing that it controls, it pushes, it compels, it's coercion. It wins battles. You sitting there struggling with your force. It wins battles. It seeks to control something, and rather than letting power go where power is. Brother hit me up the other day, and he was like, I choose peace. And I said, I'm different. Why? Because I don't choose peace. I am peace. Even at war, I'm at peace, because I'm staying aligned with what I'm called. And in that scenario, you see that power you use to manifest what you're called. Power inspires. It relies on purpose, right? It builds civilizations. It's sustainable. It changes who you become. It's alignment with the Creator. And when you're in that state and you're functioning from that energy, and that's whether you are a male or female. And that's how you can tell, am I walking in my divine feminine, Or am I walking in my divine masculine? And you look, if you can look, choose to, and you want more in this lesson about the divine feminine, divine masculine, because we had classes. And so go check us out on the DaAfrican Speaks YouTube page and look, because it's there. And because this right here can be a lesson by itself. Every purpose needs responsibility, masculine. Every masculine principle requires order, structure. Come on, we got to get this done. I know that's me. It protects what has value, masculine energy. It creates boundaries that allow growth, masculine energy. Now, sometimes I create boundaries where people can't see the opportunity for growth. That's because they haven't gone through the prerequisites of understanding what the world has done to you, understanding who the Creator has created you to be, then trying to understand all those things in you that are triggered your dysfunction. But then when you switch over to that divine feminine, man, she nurtures, she's about continuity, and she multiplies. She's about multiplication. If you bring order and structure home, she's going to make sure that it expands. It creates, it develops, it grows. It's who she is in that divine feminine. And sometimes sisters get it mixed up and they want to approach a brother like they're a brother. Even when you have a brother in a relationship, you still don't know how to let go your masculine energy that you had to adapt to because of what the world has done. Ain't that something? Then you got brothers who are scared to engage the world as men. You can't engage your enemy as a man to protect what God called you to create. Woo. Man, we got a deep sickness going on. And we can have this conversation all day, and if y'all want to, come on with it. I ain't scared of you, because I know you ain't scared of me. But that divine feminine, she structures alone cannot sustain life. You have to have that person in the house. You know, a woman, you can buy a house, but she makes it a home. The house may be built, but someone must make it a home. Luther, I never understood that when I was listening to Luther as a kid, but then as I was growing up, yes. The divine feminine, as a child is born, someone must nurture that child's gifts. Ain't that, Mom? Now, Dad will help move it around, and that was real talk. So what happened to me in my life with the world, they said there's something special in that boy when I was younger, when it comes to raising children. He has a love for it. I have a love for both worlds. And I always say my Y is capitalized. I do have an X, though. I do have an X. And in that space, we always need somebody to preserve the spirit of whatever organization you're putting in. I had a brother sit down and say, my wife is the one who organizes the spiritual energy of the house. Beautiful. Now, can a brother do it? Yes, he can, but it is the trait of the woman to nurture that level. Because we are in a war. You don't send your women to war. You don't send your children to war. The brothers, this is what we do. We go build what the Creator has called us to build and then reestablish humanity. This spiritual warfare. The feminine principle develops what has been started. So, brother, what are you starting? It nurtures it, the feminine principle. It restores it when it needs restoring. It strengthens it. It helps protect it. It multiplies it. And then when you have, you're not doing that, then of course there's a problem. Without none of that, creation dies. You have to have that. And so when you have, and for those, I have somebody who dabbles in and out of this awareness of the divine feminine, and in their mind, she's always in the divine feminine, but she jumps to that divine masculine because she has to, and then it distorts her feminine, and she doesn't know the illness that caused, the neuroses that caused. And sometimes you can't talk, so what you do is you just leave space. You leave space to grow. You leave space to become. You leave space to heal. Why? You got to go back to chapters quarter one, quarter two to get that healing so that you can actually really function in a state of power. And I remember the time that I hit my divine masculine experience, and I'm sitting in service. And this is when I had to become service. I'm sitting in service, and you're speaking to me as though that I'm still stuck in chapter one and two. And I'm waiting for I'm hearing and seeing the downloads. And I'm like, yo, I need you to speak to me in these downloads because you're not getting to me right now. You're missing me. You're missing me. And I kept doing it. And I got up and I asked, I need you to manifest your word inside me. The birth of the African. Fundi Olabayo, she would always say, Agyei, and she said it to me one time, are you the African we need to take over a slave ship? Poor consciousness. And row us back to Africa? Higher understanding. And when I was going through a lot, I looked and I thought it didn't apply to me because the environment in which I was in. I'm in a communal society. But the communal society was hidden breaks, hidden bumps, hidden walls. And it wasn't allowing me to get through. And I looked and realized that, wait a minute, I got to go deeper inside myself. I can't look for external gratification or guidance. The kingdom of the Most High is within. And I started diving deep for years. Man, we've been enslaved for 400. So what else? It's going to take you some time. But again, well, with the presence power of the Most High, your level of surrender can speed the process. And that's real. If you know how to really surrender, that meditation, eating, sleeping, everything, it speeds the process. And I remember when it happened to me, boom, I woke up. I said, there ain't nothing in this world that I need. It's time for me to build the world that I was called. And whatever I got to go through, I'm going through. And that was that masculine energy, that structure, the direction, and the protection. And anybody coming in that circle, I got that covered. But sometimes, you need to protect yourself from brokenness. Woo. But allow them the opportunity to heal. Why? Because we need it. We need each other. That's the concept of understanding this Ubuntu layer. A person cannot create a civilization alone. Civilization is a collective creation. I am because we are. And then we are because of the great I am. Your healing should strengthen families. Not the fact that you heal and then your family don't. And then your family still has the same behavior. And you allow that behavior to offset what you said that you was healed. Triggers. But how do you do that? You can't have triggers and sit down and think that you found healing and you can function in that Ubuntu spirit. That means you got to go back through quarter one, quarter two to fight in quarter three. Healing is never the destination. The Ubuntu experience is you expressing your found awareness in a state of power where the Creator is guiding you. You are in pure alignment. Your purpose blesses your community. And that's how you can tell, who is my community? Where do I live? Who do I live with daily? When people come around, can they see healing? Sat and talked with a brother this week, and he thought he was the only one going through some strange things, and he was lashing out to his family. And I sat down and said, let me tell you the story. And he looked, and I said, I knew when my family was off and I could see things that they couldn't see, I understand that you not where I'm at. And so I love you, I bless you, but I need to make this move. And please, at the time that you're called, leap up here. Because I don't expect to be so far from you. But come on, because we got to be able to do this together. Communalism. We don't build in isolation. And even if you're by yourself and you're building something, right? And because I started World of Akiba Land solo, physically. But anytime I'm sitting at a computer, I can feel the ancestors next to me, working through me, guiding my clicks. People said, "How did you do what you do?" And I said, "Easy, because I watched a generation of people build a communal society. I saw the dedication that you had, not to yourselves, but to what the Creator placed in you. And I knew that that's what I wanted, and that's where I'm at. And so this Mbutu layer, you have to do it. You measure your power. The measure of power is not necessarily what you accumulate at all. It's not what you accumulate. It's what you create. It's what you leave behind. It's how you continue life and growth. I was talking to someone the other day, and they did not see their divine self. And have you ever seen a person when you're interacting with them and they're sitting down and all they got is trouble on their mind? And you find the right word, and all of a sudden that spark of light just hits. And they sit up and listen. I get that every experience when I'm sitting there talking and I say something to a child or a teen and it hits their spirit and their body leans forward like I need this. That magnetic field. I am because we are, and we are because of the great I am, the Creator, the Most High. Because after a while, those words are not yours. They come from spiritual source. Those actions are not yours. They come from a spiritual source. Those experiences are not generated by you. They come from a spiritual source. The future generation, man, to have a generation that came before that sacrificed it all. I know that experience. I know what that feels like. And if you don't know what that feels like, then the thing is, that means you are the one who are being called to give the sacrifice around the circles in which you in. Now, if you want to be a part of the circle, yeah. Come on, join DaAfrican Speaks. Join World of Akiba Land. I'll show you. Let's talk. Let's dialogue. I used to have people calling me from all over the country, wanting to talk about it. Let's discuss it. And so in that space where you finally working from a state of power. Now the kids, when you're dealing with children, when you're talking to adults have to be deconstructed. You have to be broken down to what the world has done, and it happens in layers. It's like I said, it's like an onion, and you keep peeling until then it gets bad. You're crying, and it's all up in your face. That happens that way, right? And so you keep doing that, and as you keep doing that, somewhere along the line, you're gonna get to the center of that experience, that onion, right? And when you do, you realize that it's less deconstruction, because adults after the age of 12, you got to be deconstructed until it's over. The 10 layers of consciousness, yeah, you go from 100% of your understanding is physical, 0% in the world, to 90% is physical, and 10%, physical, and 10% is spiritual. 80% of your connection to the world, physical, and your consciousness, and then there's 20% spiritual. And its definitions, go look at the power of the divine self, because I broke all of that down. Until you are the Messiah that we've been looking for in this generation. Figure it out. Take a look. And so kids, they don't have to necessarily be deconstructed. They have to be healed for what their parents did. And there's a process, but if you catch them right, you catch them open, it's easier to help them understand that they're the esteem of God. And you're like, what? Yeah, you're the esteem of God. You're God's science, you're God's technology, you're God's engineering, you're the Most High's artwork, and you're the mathematics of the Creator. Conscious creation requires a system. You're the system. It is driven by three essential powers working as one framework, but you're the system. You initiate it, you sustain it, you organize. Three powers, one framework. In this space, understanding your reality, recognizing the absolute law that you are always generating outcomes. You can't stop. Science is generating outcomes, the research. You're producing. Your God's technology. Power is innate. The shift from a destructive force to a constructive power, that's inside you. Force dominates. It exhausts you and the person you pushing it on. Power aligns. Power develops. It comes from within. It initiates true life. You can tell when you're forcing someone to be something that they really don't, that they're not called to be. It's an ugly experience versus I'm just functioning from my aligned self. It's to technology. Your God's engineering. The power to organize. Because now, again, when you get that download, and that download that comes to you when you got a download and it's divine, it's not for you. That's how you know if it's divine or if it's worldly. It's not for you. I still got, and I'm talking to kids and I'm listening to, so how is God is going to help you with that vision? Because you got to be careful, because now the world is strong. Social media and everything else will capture a child before that child is 8 years old. They say the brain waves changes at 12. I can say I had seen some 8-year-old kids that brain waves are functioning on that survival mode. But in that engineering, the masculine principle, every vision requires structure. It requires direction and protection. Every vision, even the vision of the divine feminine, let her share with you. Share with you what is the vision in your dream that you have that the Creator is putting you through for the community. What can I do to help you organize that? And I tell you, for a minute, I've been fighting to have an experience where we are positive divine feminine and divine masculine going in the man. Let's increase that. I would love to increase that. Where it's not the brothers who control everything. Now, even though I'm a brother that controls everything, I'm always willing to listen to see what's the vision that you feel that we can connect with and build together. Always there. This establishes the boundaries that allow growth to happen safely. Let that masculine brother organize what needs to be organized. And you flow with it. Because we're going to create this thing. And in that process of creating it, this is when you got to kick in. Sisters, brothers, we got to, come on, black man. Does your vision create only for you and your smaller household? Or does it create that Ubuntu process where you understand that we have to rebuild the African identity across the globe and then restore humanity to how it's supposed to give service to the Creator? That's a task. And only the fearlessness of being connected to the Most High can get you that. And then when a brother can do that, then the art of the black woman comes through. She sustains everything that you're creating. that feminine principle. The structure alone cannot sustain life. This brings this continuous flow of nurture, care, and multiplication to what has been built. It continues. So if you have an organization, means and it's not growing, that means, because well, real talk, we got churches all around the black community, full of black women. And so it's not, if it's not growing, then something's happening with how the women are being treated or not being treated. Or something happening with the concept of the man's vision of what needs to be built through the Most High. What? You're the steam of God, and you got to be able to produce this. And I'll sit down and say, you don't see the word nurture in the section of divine masculinity. And so sometimes the brother can do the best he can, but it takes a sister to nurture a sister too. And I'm going to just leave that right there. And then you are the mathematics of the creator, the patterns and how you move. When you are in harmony or harmonize the power that's internal to initiate organization and sustain it, you achieve internal balance. This is like, it's who you are. This balance pattern multiplies your impact across generations. People are always asking, how is World of Agyei? And every time we have a new generation, you're able to inspire. That's in a balance. This is a part of what is the call. It is not easy. It is not easy to restore yourself so that you can be used to liberate black people. Who are we without our ministries? Who are we without the responsibility of liberating black people? Who are we without the call to reclaim humanity for the Most High? So now as you make this shift, and we going through this rest of this chapter, and we start this quarter, and we start dealing with the power, we start dealing with purpose, we start dealing with creation. Now you got to get productive with your awareness. What are you creating? And I always tell friends, look, hey, I understand we might be at each other's throats, but that's okay. Can we create something together? Can we come together on behalf of the call? And there are certain things that I know I'm supposed to produce. Please don't give it away. Why? Because it's a part of my assignment, and we all got timelines. People don't get that. I make hard decisions because of my timeline. Others may have. I don't. And so now when it's this alignment shift where you're not the unconscious consumer, but you're the conscious creator. And you understand that you're not here by accident. You're here to build on purpose. What are you here to build? And if you haven't gotten that vision yet, that means you got to go back to your deconditioning process. And each time even though you're building, sometimes you hit a brick wall. Decondition yourself even more, so that brick wall, you figure out how to either go over it, go under it, go around it, or blow it up and just walk over the rubble. That's me. I like blowing up walls and walking over the rubble. Because for me, that tells the creator, told you I can't be stopped. And every now and then, I turn into a piece of paper, and wind comes and I float over it. I land softly, and I just keep walking. You got to get that alignment shift. Conscious creation changes everything around you. Everything around you. And the world literally becomes beautiful. And if you can get into that space and it's shared, oh man. So you have to look now and ask yourself right now, what are you building? What are you protecting? My queens, what are you nourishing? What future are you creating today? What's in your blueprint? I tell people, look, we're trying to liberate minds, to liberate our people, to liberate the diaspora, to affect humanity. There's no blueprint for this. And the biggest blueprint that we've ever got is surrender to the Most High. So you got to redefine everything, and that's why these spiritual conversations is important. So I'm going to get back to that. It's just a call. It's just a download. And I've been talking about doing a spiritual conversation versus, metaphysical, but a spiritual one that can hit all. It don't matter what your religious base is. Man, every time I talk or do a DaAfrican Speaks, it tells me you got more to do because it's not being done. And if it is, it's not effective on a large scale. That's it from the circle that I'm sitting in. But you have to do that. It changes everything. Building with purpose, protecting what matters, nurturing life, and creating for the future. Black people, we got work to do. To actually have this Ubuntu experience go through generations, you got to walk in power, in purpose, and create. You got to walk in power, walk in purpose, and create. You got to sit down and answer those questions. And if you can't answer those questions, meditate before you leave and ask your ancestors to give you the answers. And if you haven't been used to connecting to your ancestors, speak to the Most High. And say, and I remember for years I would always pray, Lord, give me my vision. Give me the vision of creation that belongs to me. So that I can connect my spirit, my mind, my body, and my spirit to it, and show you that I completely surrender everything I got to you. Love my brother as myself, where I can. Any child that walks in, I'm a big child. I told myself when I was a kid, I'm always going to be a Toys R Us kid. So any kid that walks into the environment, I see them as myself, and I give them everything I possibly can for them to be able to walk in divine alignment. You got to apply. You got to put this all together. You're not just learning, you are building, you are becoming. You got to turn your awareness into creation. I know people who turn awareness into more awareness, into more awareness, into more awareness, means that there's something in their first two chapters, the quarters of knowing who you are, knowing what the world did to you, understanding what your inner problems are, the patterns that you do to create dysfunction, and continue. More awareness, more awareness, more awareness, where your awareness does not change your ability to create. Awareness is supposed to change your ability, and you walk in that divine power. So order your creation tonight. Identify one thing that you are currently creating unconsciously that you don't see, you don't realize. Will be an argument every day, your mood, your finances not moving, no relationship with your children. What are you doing unconsciously? Because nobody purposely pushes the kid away. It's an unconscious thing. What are you fighting inside yourself where you can't connect? Then we're dealing with the issue that innate power within. Initiate with power. Initiating life with what God has placed in you. The kingdom of God is within you. The power of the Creator is within you. You won't have to go anywhere but within you. When you get out, and that's why we had to deal with the issue of the mind and the spirit and the body soon. How you eat, how you sleep, meditate, how you think. We had to get, that's the first quarter. We took 3 months. 3 months on healing the dysfunctional patterns. 3 months. Now you should feel some type of power within inside yourself where you can initiate life in power. Choose one area where you have been using exhausting force and release it. Release the demand for control and replace it with one constructive, aligned action. That happened to me. Just a couple of days ago, I'm sitting there trying to force something that happens. Force. Because even in forcing it, I know that it was healthy for the development. And I said, dude, just let it go. Let it go and let God. And that's the conversation of that stage. To let go and let God is to stop force and function from power. That don't mean that there's some things that you don't do, but that means you address it with a different type of energy, not force, but just power. So what is that thing that you need to add power to? One constructive aligned action. For me, one of the things that I did, I had to get back on schedule. Let me start building what I've been building. I had to work on some things for uh, the kids to get back in line where other vocabulary. Then I had to continue building this, what we're launching and what's happening with the Pan-African Kids Council. I had to get back in alignment so that the kids' minds who I am trying to inspire and enlighten so that they're not playing catch up. People don't get it. I'm doing this to make sure that I don't fall behind on what I'm supposed to build. So do that. Release what you control of something and touch it with God. Organize. Implement one firm, responsible boundary to protect your time, your energy, or your family this week. Organize. It's going to take that structure. God created the world in perfect mathematical symmetry. There's nothing but organization here. I go like this, a plant gets that. I inhale, I get what the plant released. It's balance, organize. You got to. One thing this week to keep things structured. And now sustain and nurture. I have an X chromosome. I am allowed to do this. I'm allowed to tap in to support the divine feminine. Pour one intentional, intrusive care. Just get in there. Intuitive care into one relationship or project that requires continuous life to thrive. One, nurture today, multiply tomorrow. Get it done. And in that space, you continue to walk as a co-creator. Not only do you co-create with the divine feminine, divine masculine, divine feminine continue to, and I'm always looking, and we talk about divine masculine, divine feminine, and growth and development and the power between a black woman and man. I'm always down for a conversation with a sister who can understand this and not speak from ego. A lot of them still speak from ego because they got so used to living in a world where they had to have it. But say it, I'm a co-creator with the divine masculine. I'm a co-creator with the divine feminine. I'm a co-creator with the Most High. I surrender all my faculties to surrender to the Most High to complete the assignment that I'm called. Everybody does not have the same assignment, so everybody does not have the same needs to move forward in that assignment. My assignments, yes, but I can't judge everybody from my assignment. So you always have to say, I realize my authority. Realize the authority that you have to produce what God has called you to produce. I understand my participation. You got to see yourself, male or female, as that builder of a people. I am returning to my original assignment, not the one you got from the world. Because if you return and you look at this thing, or you turn around, you look at this thing, you realize how immense is it, how big is it? It's enormous. And you know that the only way you can get this done, the only way we can get the assignment that God gave you done is through faith. It's the knowing that you're carried, that connection, and Butu. That's the other half. Not only because I am, because we are. Because now you got your identity. But then we are because of the great I am. We are because of the great Most High. And in that space, if you can live in that circle, say, I organize with structure. I sustain with nurture. I am a co-creator. Do it again. Say, I realize my authority. I understand my participation. I am returning to my original assignment. I initiate with power. I organize with structure. I sustain with nurture. I am a co-creator. Our creation, our legacy, our future. Together we build a high quality generation after generation after generation to reclaim who we were called. So now I build. I don't build by accident. I build with authority. I build with preparation. I have an assignment. I function through power. That's hard. When you sit down and you ever walk in a room and you walked in your divine authority and people just turned and would wonder, who are you? Who is that? Who is he? Who is she? I want what is within. Now, doing that, imagine from that point what it's like to build a generation that starts from the moment they walk. And you're guiding, you create your children to be aligned with the Most High. Some kids come out and they tell you they're talking about things that will blow your mind. And you got to open them to that. Imagine when you see a child that is struggling to where the world has turned that child into something other than a child of God. Because they're out there. We all live it, but they turned you into something different. And then you tap that child or you tap into that child and that child is inspired to become. Realizing that they're limitless. That is a beautiful thing. And if you can imagine kids walking in power from the jump, then you have an idea of what we're doing at World of a Keeper Land. So if anything I said hit you, touched you, moved you, join the mission. Join the movement. Join the conversation. And bring a child. And with that, it's been a minute. But we continue now. And so I will see you next week. Probably before. We'll see. Agyei. Peace. Y'all have a good night.